Before we start today's video, check out our merch shop, linked in the description down below. Use code Ahsoka in all caps to get $7 off your order. May the Force be with you, and enjoy the vid.
Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's up guys, Unofficial Star Wars here. I hope you're all doing well, and in this video we have some interesting details apart from Kylo Ren revealed by Adam Driver recently. We're gonna go ahead and hop right on into it for some of those specifics that he had actually revealed about playing the character in the sequel trilogy a couple of years ago now, since being casted into a galaxy far, far away. And for another, what could this mean for the future of the character and for the future of the franchise as well, especially at the beginning of this year at Star Wars Celebration, having the return of Daisy Ridley as Rey Skywalker in her own spin-off movie set 15 years after the events of The Rise of Skywalker. There is that fingers crossed that, hey, Adam Driver could be back as Ben Solo. It would have to be a Force ghost though, of course. Of course, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna hop right on into it, break it all down for you guys. Before we do, grab that subscribe button if you haven't already, and that notification bell to be notified from when we have new videos here on the channel dropping. We're covering and talking about all types of Star Wars related news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns here on the channel, so if you guys are into any of that, go ahead and join us today. On the subject, I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, your theories as well, so let me know what you guys are all thinking in the comments. Okay, so in this video we are going to be taking a read from StarWarsNewsNet.com. I'll have their article linked in the description down below. In a stunning move given on how the last few years have kind of played out, Adam Driver is talking Star Wars for the second time within the past month. After talking to CNN's Chris Wallace about the process of signing on to do The Force Awakens, Driver recently stopped by the Rich Elson show to talk about Kylo Ren's arc throughout the sequel trilogy and how that kept changing with time. It's part of that unfortunate reality that we do know of what's come with the sequel trilogy, revealed by countless other, cast and crew members, even directors, such as J.J. Abrams revealing that, well, there just wasn't ever really any plan for the sequel trilogy moving forward. Not the same way that there was for the original Lucasfilm, for the original George Lucas original trilogy and the prequels. And that really part of the sequel trilogy is that they were kind of just coming up with this type of stuff on the fly. There was a lot of creative differences also going on, I think, at the same time, as to why when you look back on the original trilogy, you look back on the prequel trilogy, there was a lot of connective tissue. Like, it was all kind of done by George Lucas. It all kind of came out of his mind. And when you look at the sequel trilogy, you have different creatives, different writers working on X, Y, and Z, and different directors. That's not to say that the original trilogy didn't do that, and the prequels as well. We all know that there were different directors, but still, the take on it is that there were different writers for the sequel trilogies, which was the first process of that made this problem of that disconnect between these movies, I think. So Adam Driver, who's currently out promoting his new movie Ferrari, said that the following when asked if he knew if he was playing pretty much just a Darth Vader 2.0. He says that, in quote, "Yeah, I did. And I had an overall arc that in my mind that J.J. Abrams wanted to do. This idea was that Kylo's journey was the opposite journey of Vader, of where Vader starts the most confident and the most committed to the dark side, and then by the last movie he's the most vulnerable and weak. He wanted to start with the opposite, this character that was the most confused and vulnerable instead, and by the end of the three movies, the sequel trilogy, he would actually have been most committed to the dark side. I tried my best to keep that arc in mind throughout, regardless if that wound up not being the journey anyway, because it changed while shooting even, but I was still focused on that." Ending that quote right there. The overall idea of Kylo Ren's storytelling arc throughout the sequel trilogy is nothing really like that of what Adam Driver had explained or kind of described there for what they had in mind when they first started these movies, the sequel trilogy with The Force Awakens, as of to where you're starting with a more confused and more angry and just like dumb-witted, like straight up just like a more dumb and reckless Kylo Ren essentially character going on there, and he becomes more wise and he becomes more powerful, he becomes more connected to the dark side throughout those three movies. And that is a very opposite arc, yet similar though, however, description of what we do see with Darth Vader, especially throughout the original trilogy, although it's the same arc that we do see of Anakin Skywalker throughout the prequels, of where he starts out reckless and arrogant, confused, and vulnerable, and he's basically consumed by the dark side by the end of Revenge of the Sith. So really, in a way, Adam Driver is revealing that they wanted to do that same kind of arc, essentially, the same arc that we saw with Anakin Skywalker throughout the prequels, except maybe a bit more connective. The interviewer on the show, Elson, then asked when the character's arc did change for Kylo Ren throughout those sequel movies, and Adam Driver responded with, in quotes, "With Rian Johnson, he took it in a different direction, but it still tracked with the character. And then the last one, The Rise of Skywalker, it changed into being, about them and the died, and things like that, and evolving into Ben Solo. That was never a part of it. He was Ben Solo from the beginning, but there was never a version of where we'd actually see Ben Solo when I first signed up." I think that quote right there, really into the idea of that Ben Solo is this idea of what Anakin Skywalker was, except it's just something that we just never actually see play out and actually ever have that redemption arc at the same time as well. Adam Driver's comments aren't really that surprising though, however, though they are worth listening to. It's interesting, it's Adam Driver, I mean, come on. But because of that, of how thoughtful he is about everything that he does, of how into everything he does in the acting world and within Hollywood, not just within Star Wars and in the sequel trilogy, but outside of that. Adam Driver was first approached to play the main villain in the sequels around the end of 2013 or the start of 2014 at the time, nearly 10 years ago actually. And at the time, J.J. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan had been writing Michael Arden's script for Episode 7 for a few months, but the studio had scrapped Arden's overall treatment for the sequel trilogy. In an effort to meet the 2015 release date Disney had set for the film, they decided to take it onto one film at a time really, instead of trying to plan out this entire sequel trilogy all in one go. Part of the problem is where it kind of boils down to is time management, I think, at the end of the day, of that they didn't allow themselves enough time and that they were kind of rushing it overall, and that falls down onto Disney at the end of the day, and that's just part of the game. And from there, they let Rian Johnson figure out what to do with the next episode, Episode 8, The Last Jedi, on his own, and that's the other part of the problem, of where they think it's a good idea to say, oh, let's have different writers on each movie and different takes on these different movies from different directors, I think is another idea, compared to having different writers on these movies. That's where the disconnect comes into. And that's not a diss to Rian Johnson. I love a lot of his other work, and honestly, I do like The Last Jedi. I think that movie that has the connective tissue that it needs from The Force Awakens into the events of The Last Jedi. It's The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9, where it does fall flat for me, though, however. The original writer, Colin Trevorrow, was signed later to do Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, back when there wasn't a fully laid out plan, though, however. There were, though, seemingly seeds of one, though, that had been planted. The Duel of the Fates original script for Episode 9 that had leaked into the internet and taken it by storm, something that we've covered plenty of times here on the channel, after The Rise of Skywalker came out in theaters, it didn't feature Ben Solo at all, and at the time, The Last Jedi had wrapped up in filming for 2016, that was the plan for the trilogy, for Kylo Ren to go further down the path of the dark side. Lucasfilm later changed their mind though, however, and they did so even before Rian Johnson's movie came out, The Last Jedi, and that they had planned The Rise of Skywalker for this whole Ben Solo arc and for him to come back to the light side, and even his death scene at that from the get-go from there. The original writer for Duel of the Fates, or Episode 9 at the time, Trevorrow, was let go, and J.J. Abrams had took over Episode 9 and co-wrote it with Chris Terrio. So yes, this has given more confirmation that there was never really any plan and that there was a lot of turmoil in the making of the sequel trilogy, unfortunately. And the actors suffered from the first and foremost. John Boyega is another example of this, and how the promises made to him earlier on were later unfulfilled and never came to fruition. However, since then, and to the regards of John Boyega, has said in his latest statement on the matter, is saying that he's leaving the door open for a possible return in a galaxy far, far away. The most prominent idea of that is, and has to be, the Rey Skywalker spin-off movie that was announced at the beginning of this year. Same thing can go for Adam Driver, and it seems a lot less likely though, however, for him. He never really seems to mention wanting to return to a galaxy far, far away for that upcoming movie. Of course, unless given that he isn't able to talk about it and he's already signed on at that. I think it would be really awesome, and it would pay a lot of fans that kind of contribute for him to at least appear as a Force ghost in one scene. That's all I'm asking for with this movie, quite honestly. This year all being said, guys, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys are all thinking in the comment section down below. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.